sat on the floor. When you spend your time pretending, you don't have time to walk in your purpose. Hey, it's Jasmine here. Let's talk about dropping your personas and picking up passionately accepting you. So part of my life's work has been learning to shine my own light. Accepting who I am, all the quirks, all of the things, and really embracing and embodying that so I can walk in that direction and show other people how to do the same thing. I really just want you to be the most radiant version of yourself. You are already great. You are already that girl. It's just you aren't accepting and embracing her. You are hiding her somewhere. And so let's get into it. With being radiant, I want you to understand this. Light that is refracting or reflecting off another object is not as bright as the original source. So when you have on your persona, the facades, pretending to be something else, it is gonna be dimmer than if you took all those layers off and walked around as your true self. That is gonna be the brightness that is attracting your dream clients, your divine mate. And so, yeah, let that light shine. Not anyone else's, not how anyone else's light is gonna shine, not the hue that they have. We want you. So I'm gonna share with you today 4 principles that you can start to cultivate that are gonna have the most authentic version of you radiating. So here are 4 principles to understand and cultivate to reach your authentic self and become who you are, not simply settling for who you hope to be. I really love that. All right, so my first tip is going to be individuation. Individuation is the process of becoming who you are, distinct from your relationships and the people around you. This concept was coined and first studied by Jung. So often as a woman, we are measured by how many girlfriend relationships we have or friendships, and if we've hit this amazing threshold of being in a long-term committed relationship or a romantic relationship or becoming a wife, being married. And so while that isn't always a bad thing, there are points where it can kind of diminish your self-value. Now, I personally am happy for all of my friendships and my partner because I value them and they in turn value me. It's just if the balance was off between the two that it becomes a problem when you're trying to become who you truly are. And so one way that this problem presents itself is when you cling to them and waiting for them to see you, waiting for them to acknowledge your dreams, waiting for them to say, oh, you're so great at this, or just waiting for them to say, oh, you are good, oh, you are great, oh, you are magnificent. Like just sitting and waiting for them, filling up a little bit on your own and knowing, okay, well, inside of me, I want to do this thing, I want to be this, and then kind of working toward that regardless of if they are supporting you. Another way that this can be a problem is if you start to lose yourself in the relationship or friendship, or you never learn how to fly solo. You don't enjoy the singleness, you put your life on hold until you have these things, and then, oh, I'm gonna become this. Well, you can work on those things in the meantime. Feel like, all right, well, I'm too afraid to go it alone because they aren't seeing me, and also I'm not showing them that these are things I'm interested in and passionate about. And so if I mention it just one time, then it's like, oh, that's nice. But when they also see that you have a passion for it and you keep bringing it up and you want to do this for you, then they're gonna get behind you. And so instead of, again, like waiting for them to see you, you go ahead and see yourself, boo-boo. And so I want to, emphasize that you want to be, it's okay if you want to be in a relationship, you want to have your friendships, just be careful about how much you enmesh with someone else, that you don't know where they end and you begin, and you're waiting. You have your life on hold, on pause, before you go for it. And if you do find that that's where you find yourself, like her story, it's not too late. You can go ahead and start really simple, figuring out the things that you like, what you don't like, what your interests are, if there's something that you're passionate about that you want to pursue. And it may not be the route of going back to school, and it may not be starting a business. It could be, oh, well, I've always, like sewing, or, been interested in making my own clothes. So let me just get a sewing machine and start small, like knitting or just anything. Like, it's something that's important to you, and then you go and do it for you. And just continue your own self-exploration and self-discovery. And so by asserting yourself in that way, that's one way that you start to shape your own inner light. Okay, so my second point is the chameleon effect. This is where one changes their personality to fit in, masking their true self. This is code switching, like in a corporate setting, but in our social life, if we are being a chameleon, in order to gain validation and love, that's not helping us become who we are. And so this behavior is stemming from insecurity or fear of rejection. You might say to yourself, okay, well, let me show up in this way where I know that this is going to be acceptable in this situation, in this circumstance, with this group of people, rather than showing up more as yourself and then allowing people that opportunity to, love you and also grow their own capacity for what they can tolerate. And so this shapes your inner light to be contained or limited to what you believe others can and will love and accept about you. Okay, so honestly, this is one that I personally struggled with. And that's because as a dancer or a performer, part of my job in that is to wow the audience, captivate them, draw them in, have them feel some emotion. And so what would happen after, like, someone would see me perform and then we get in conversation, they'd be like, oh, well, where's that girl? Or can I see more of her? And to me, that was really tough rejection for me to take on, because I'm seeing it, oh, this is a piece of me, but that's not all of me. And so how are you wanting me to show up as this little part all the time? Like, I can't be just dancing around everywhere I go and singing my life like I'm in theater or something, or on a Broadway musical. That's not my life. I'm not on Disney. And so, but that's how I was taking it. And so not only was I really feeling rejection from that, but it also made me a little defensive. Who do you think you are to come over here and just tell me that this is how I need to be? No, you need to, realize that I am more than just this one little thing. But what I personally was missing was that it was an opportunity for me to grow the other areas, like my storytelling, or just sharing my words and thoughts with people. So that way I was helping them see the connection between this part of me that loves to dance and perform and wow, to this other part of me that is kind of nerdy and I want to read all the books, learn everything that I can about myself, and really just am intrigued about anything that is, psychology, sociology, in those ways. And so I wasn't sharing that, so people didn't know what else to ask of me because I wasn't sharing it. Or, it also really gave me another opportunity to flip it on, turn the conversation where it's I'm still eager and excitable to hear about them and their interests and their passions. When I started doing a little bit more of that, I realized okay, I am kind of funny a little bit, and I don't have to be a wallflower and just wait for people to see me when I perform. I can bring something else to it. Okay, so this is a perfect time for you to shape your life around your true identity and shed the limiting facade of you just being this one simple thing, a dancer, a speaker, a good listener. Be more and let people see what else there is. Okay, so point 3 is practice ongoing self-acceptance. That means acknowledging and accepting all aspects of oneself, both your strengths and your weaknesses. When we pretend to be something we aren't yet, it can cause some insecurity and create internal conflict. So this is where you may see some of the imposter syndrome, where you're trying to show up as something, but then you're not feeling like you're qualified enough or that you can do it. And so sometimes we get stuck in that trap, right? Where we want to do something, be something different, be something more, and then we don't quite make it over that hurdle of imposter syndrome. In my opinion, what I think it is that you and I are not showing up consistently in our action, but we keep saying it with our words. And so it's misfiring because we're saying, oh, we're X, Y, and Z, but we're not walking that walk. And so that gives the imposter syndrome a foothold to get in there and then stop us from continuing to walk. And then we start to say less of, oh, I'm X, Y, and Z, or now it's like, okay, well, I was thinking about doing this, or, I made strides to do this, but I think I'm just gonna do another career pivot, and then you just never become that. And so by talking it and not walking it, we are perpetuating the inner conflict. And then that inner conflict, in turn, our friends, our family, the people around us who hear us talking it, but they see us not walking it, we can kind of take that a little bit as creating an insecurity in us, because now we feel a little judgment. We feel like people are watching us fall short, and then they know our secret that, I said I'm this, but I'm not doing it. And so then we feel even more insecure about it. I think Kendrick Lamar said this perfectly. The audience not dumb. Shape the story how you want. Hey Drake, they're not slow. We're trying to shape the story of, I'm this dancer, I'm this speaker, I'm this great listener, but then the actions aren't lining up where, well, I don't see you dancing, I don't see you performing, I don't see you creating the videos and showing up on YouTube, or, becoming a dance teacher at a local studio. Like, you say you're these things, but I don't see any action. So to shape your inner light, encourage yourself to see that yes, you have work to do, but you're giving yourself the grace to get to this place. And then you're actually consistent because you're not, beating yourself down, and you're showing up. To shape your inner light, encourage yourself to see that yes, you have work to do, but actually being consistent and giving yourself grace, you actually become, you gain inner peace and confidence. That illuminates your true self with shortcomings versus trying to chase perfection. So I'll say it one more time. When we walk the walk is not perfect, but it is giving us the inner peace and the consistency to keep walking, because we know that we're making more progress than just talking about it and then just stopping because now I'm feeling like, okay, well, I'm not it yet. Well, no, you're not it yet. That's why you have to keep walking. So that's how you let your light shine even more, by walking the walk. Okay, and tip 4, see your reality. So that means seeing life objectively rather than with rose-colored sunglasses. That means taking a step back, seeing the bigger picture versus zooming in on this one little area that looks good, and so you focus only on that. When we have unrealistic expectations about who we are and how we bring value to the world, denial sets in. And so that can look like us doing the same thing again and again and not getting a different result. Because we're thinking that if I do this thing again, then the outcome is going to change. But if we're not changing who we are and how we're showing up in this area, because we're not looking at the reality of a situation clearly and not with, these rose-colored sunglasses, like, oh, everything's on fire, but I'm gonna keep pretending like it's fine, and I'm gonna do it again and again the same way, because one of these days it's gonna be different. And so what we will see, and I have seen that, is only later does the disappointment kind of set in. And it's like, okay, well, now I have regrets because I've wasted some time not accurately assessing and making the changes. And so that could be in two different ways, but since we're talking about becoming who you are, we're going to keep it more personal to our identity, to our persona, to our egos. And so in the spirit of transparency, I finished my life coaching certification back in October of 2023. And I had this unrealistic expectation where I was seeing myself as, I'm going to be the 6-figure coach and it's going to happen in 6 months. And now it's way past 6 months. Okay, you know, that I would be the 6-figure coach in 6 months and that my clients would flock to me, all because I posted on Instagram. And so that wasn't going to get me there. And so let's look at this quote by Jung. It says, your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. So when I looked inside, my realization was that I'm someone people have to experience. And with the video, with text over the screen, people can't experience me that way. They can't see my passion. They can't feel how strongly I want to see them win if I just have some words on a screen or a really cute photo and some text. They have to really know me. And so that meant I needed to change my way of executing. So I changed my strategy to be the face of my brand and show the way. So less talking, more walking, more executing, more embodying. So to shape your inner light, there is power in realism and objectively achieving happiness and success. Your inner light is gonna guide you effectively. But if you're not looking at where your light is pointing, how are you going to see it clearly? How is it gonna radiate? How are you gonna get the bat signal if you don't put the light out there? So release you into the world as you truly are, partly of who you are yet to become, but as that person you want to become, so you are yourself. Not coming as a persona, not being anything else, not showing all the perfection and not showing where you had your shortcomings, so now that disconnection there. So with that, y'all, it was so good. I hope y'all really enjoyed those tips that I had to share today. They were good. Okay, so what I want you to do is, so in the comments below, I want you to tell me which of the strategies are going to help you the most to drop that act and become who you are. I want the conversation to keep going. I want to be your cheerleader. I really want to see that radiant version of you showing up in spaces where you can be a change agent. And so go ahead and like this video. If you have a good friend that this could benefit them, go ahead and share it. And of course, until next time, be brave, be confident, be joyful. You belong. Goodbye.